What's up, everybody? Solomon here. I am not going to go over the entire SBI document. I think if you want to look at a deeper look at that, Crypto Eddie did a great job at it, and I'm sure that there's others out there that have went through this. I am going to go over real quickly a little bit of speculation. One of the last slides where they talk about XRP, establishment of Japan's first crypto asset fund with an anonymous partnership. Fundraise is expected to begin during the summer of 2020, providing individual investors with a crypto asset fund that embodies the resources of the SBI Group. Crypto assets, which have a low correlation to traditional assets such as stocks, bonds, etc., enhance the effectiveness of diversification. And we can see down here through Morningstar, the adoption ratio advice of that fund would be 50% XRP, a bit of Ethereum, and a bit of Bitcoin. So I want to get into the anonymous partnership here. I may be completely wrong in who I suspect this to be, but if you look, and throughout this entire document here, SMFG, which is Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group, has plenty of relationships with SBI already. And I found an article from earlier this year which talks about SBI and SMFG and digs a little bit deeper here. So I'll read through this briefly because it's not too long, and then I want to get into the OCC announcement and just kind of tie it all up with gold. And I had a very interesting message I received. Take it with a grain of salt, whatever you want to do, but the Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group, which is Japan's second largest financial institution by market cap, will reportedly sign an agreement with SBI Holdings, a Tokyo-based financial services company group, in order to provide digital banking services via mobile devices. This is as reported by Nikkei on April 27th, 2020. Already taken the first steps towards establishing the multi-million-dollar project. The agreement between both organizations will be finalized in the coming days, right before Japan's Golden Week banking holidays. Now, if you get down into here, this is what I'm interested in here, because they're talking about an anonymous partnership with the XRP fund. And I could be completely wrong in this, by the way, but I did find an interesting little bit piece of verbiage in here. SBI also intends to accept another investment deal from SMFG later this year. This is 2020, which will establish a $1 billion fund that will make strategic investments in firms specializing in digital technology and platforms. The fund may also invest in fintech, blockchain, or distributed ledger projects and 5G technologies. So my speculative little insight on this, again, could be completely wrong, is that Sumitomo Mitsui may be the group involved. I am interested to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see what Crypto Eddie thinks early next week, because I know that she is probably she's way more tuned into the pipeline of this information regardless. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents into that. Now we see the OCC, Officer of the Comptroller of the Currency. I know that a lot of terms are thrown around a lot. So I should do this real quick. I'll just give you guys a brief overview of what the OCC does. They basically regulate all of the banks. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency is an independent bureau within the United States Department of the Treasury that was established in the National Currency Act. It talks about, hold on, comptroller. As acting comptroller of the currency, Mr. Brooks is the administrator of the federal banking system and the chief officer of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. He basically supervises 1,200 national banks, federal savings associations, and federal branches and agencies of foreign banks that conduct approximately 70% of all banking business in the United States. Pretty self-explanatory there with how big he is. But I think that maybe some of you don't understand how far back the DLT and the non-bank fintechs as banks initiatives go with the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So Brian Brooks, if you're not aware, he was I think he was. I know he was a bigwig at Coinbase. I forget what his exact position is. So you've got this gentleman that moved from Coinbase over to the OCC. Well, as the head of the OCC, he is talking basically about a payment charter 1.0. In the podcast yesterday, acting comptroller Brian Brooks sat down with Evan Sparks. Not clear that customers always wanted their financial services in bundled forms, proving himself to be a maverick in this new role. Coinbase, cryptocurrency exchange, we get it. Here's where this ties in, though. So this payments charter would be unveiled by the OCC at some point later this year. Such a charter would grant an institution, a non-bank institution, and what they're talking about here is fintechs, and I will go into that in the next couple of websites here. Such a charter would grant the institution a federal preemption, basically an exemption, or a federal money transmitter license, eliminating the need to go to all 50 states and obtain a license to operate in each state. So, I did a video on this for SPQR probably about 9 months ago. This entire initiative, the initial initiative, which was banks, non-banking institutions, basically getting a banking license, it allowed them to bypass state regulatory issues and basically operate as a federal entity. That got shot down. It looks like Brian Brooks is reinvigorating that what they're trying to do, for lack of a better phrase, God. So they're bringing back the non-bank payments charter, which is going to basically allow these fintechs to operate as banks. There is a definition of what banks are normally considered as. They need to be depository, et cetera, et cetera. He basically shoots that down. Brooks notes that cheap deposits used by banks are less relevant for the more tech-enabled fintechs, obviously, where these cheap sources of lending are less relevant. I don't buy the argument that granting a special purpose charter is somehow an existential threat to the banks. And we'll see on here, the New York Department of Financial Services shot down the initial non-banking charter thing. So for version 1 of the payments charter, and I think just to simplify this, this is huge because this essentially allows fintechs to operate at the federal level and be connected to all of the banks in the country. Period, right across the board. We already know what they're building. They are building connection points. They're building integration layers. They're building rails all across the board here. But this essentially just removes even the necessity to do that. And you're connected right into the banking system. Every bank, pretty much, right across the board without having to deal with any regulatory issues at the state level. Version 1 of the payments charter. And they're telling you what they're building here or what they're attempting to build. Brooks laid out a national version of a state money transmission license that provides the advantage of a national platform with preemption from the states. This is version 1.0. In version 2.0, approximately 18 months after rollout, Brooks estimates that these institutions, these fintechs that are not banks, would then be able to have access to the Federal Reserve. What does it sound like they're doing here, people? And I'm going to provide a little bit of scope here. I will provide this link. You guys can dig deeper into this. This, again, is talking about special purpose charters, parameters of the fintech charter subject to the jurisdiction of the OCC. In recent years, the OCC has explored and proposed the use of special purpose national bank charters for interested fintech firms. I wonder what fintech firms were interested in attaining a special purpose national bank charter. Well, I know one, and that was Ripple. Ripple, all the way back in 2017, addressed a letter exploring special purpose national bank charters for fintech companies. This is to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, who then, I believe, was Joseph Otting. This is from Ripple, supporting that initiative. This is by Jesse Chang, Deputy General Counsel of Ripple in 2017. All right, now we see here that, where do I have it? This is April 14, 2017. And this is the New York State Department of Financial Services, who was against the special purpose national bank charter. And eventually, if you dig deep enough, and I think it was 2019, the this is the final ruling here. Basically, is that it got shot down. The special purpose bank charter got shot down. So now we are seeing the appeal process through a charter 1.0. And we know how slow these institutions move. We know that Ripple was an interested company. And even look here, Monday, August 20th, 2018. This is SEC Chairman Jay Clayton. This has been circulating through the XRP and Ripple community forever. Just to make sure that you guys know it's a fact here, this is SEC.gov. Chairman Jay Clayton, who's the head of the SEC, public calendar from August 1st, 2018 to August 31st, 2018. This is right around the time they were probably understanding that this special purpose bank charter was going to get shot down. 11 a.m., Monday, August 20th, 2018, meeting with Ripple. The only individuals in this meeting were Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, John Roscoe, Special Assistant to the President in the White House Office of Presidential Personnel. At the end of the day, he had a meeting with Joseph Auden, Comptroller of the Currency. That's speculative, I get it. I'm just presenting this information to you. John Roscoe since moved on to the FHFA, the Financial Housing Authority, basically, of the country, in 2019. All right. Now, I'm going to end this real quick. I didn't want to make this video super crazy. This was interesting, and I got sent this, so take this with a gigantic grain of salt. I'm not going to mention any names here, but it just goes to show you what's been going on with the negative interest rates across the board and basically the economy at large, which I believe the propping up of the economy is probably not the most sustainable thing. I don't know what you guys agree with or what you don't. I think there's probably a reason behind all of this. All right, so, hey, Solomon, got some info you might find interesting. Seems very fitting with what's happening in the world at the moment. This is straight from the horse's mouth because I am that horse. And this is not an insider or a riddler. This is a normal dude that just messaged me out of the blue. I get a lot of messages like this. This one stuck out to me because it actually seemed pretty realistic. So again, you need to take this with a grain of salt, but I'm just letting you know what I was told. I work as a long-haul pilot for a large UK airline. During this crisis, COVID, we have been moving mainly cargo around the world and very few passengers. Makes sense. Just thought you might like to know that recently, the amount of gold we are moving has gone off the charts. Huge amounts compared to what we typically move. I also spoke today to a very good friend who also flies, where am I at here? Who also flies for a living, and he works for another huge UK airline, and they are doing the exact same thing. Both of us and our colleagues have never seen this much gold move in such a short amount of time in all of our 14 years plus flying careers. We both just wonder what the heck is going on. Is something big happening? Can you think of a reason why? I only know this because we have to be handed a copy of the NOTOC, and I looked that up. NOTOC is basically hazardous or precious cargo. It's a manifest basically that's provided to the captain of each flight prior to flying in case of emergency type stuff so that they know what's on board. Copy of the NOTOC cargo manifest before we can fly. It's a legal thing. For example, we need notification of any dangerous goods that we are carrying. That aligns with exactly what I looked into. Should there be a fire, spillage, etc. So everything carried is listed along with its weight. This info is not public knowledge by any means. Don't want you to think I'm going all tinfoil hat on you. Just thought you could be the man to ask, so wondered if you could think why this would be happening. Thanks for all your great content. Lagarde video. Okay. Well, I'll just tell you right off the bat, and this has been going on not just this year. I think this probably stems back late 2018, early 2019. Centralbankgold.org, and this aligns very much so with every other survey that I've seen. 2020 Central Bank Gold Reserve Survey. The number of central banks buying gold is expected to increase substantially this year. According to the 2020 Central Bank Gold Reserve Survey, 20% of central banks intend to increase their gold reserves over the next 12 months, compared to just 8% of respondents in the 2019 survey. The increase is particularly notable as central bank buying has reached record levels in recent years, adding around 650 tons in 2019 alone. Several of the survey's key findings may explain the significant growth in planned gold purchases by central banks. 88% of central bank respondents say that negative interest rates are a relevant factor for their reserve management decisions. the continuation of expansionary monetary policies due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which coincided with the fieldwork of this survey, will likely keep interest rates near zero for the foreseeable future. Furthermore, 79% of respondents view gold's performance during times of crisis as it. We know that. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wasn't really planning on doing a video today, but I did want to put my 2 cents in about the SBI document. I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a background about the OCC and what they've been trying to do since 2015, I believe, with the Special Purpose National Bank Charter. I will post a link to the SPQR video I did. It was like a 30-minute video on the OCC, and it dove a little bit deeper than this. And then I also wanted to address what was going on with what I feel is gold. I mean, I believe gold is a good hedge, but I also believe that, you know, what's happening in the economy right now is not sustainable. We can see today what happened in crypto, which is extremely volatile. It went down 6% or whatever. XRP is down 6%. I mean, not financial advice for any of this stuff here, but I've basically been holding money on the sidelines, waiting for maybe a situation like this, or maybe a situation that's a little bit more involved than this. And then, you know, last but not least, so I know there's like drama going on Twitter and stuff like that. I am not trying to influence you guys whatsoever on who you follow. Follow whoever you want to follow. Watch whatever videos you want to watch. I'm a real person. I have real thoughts. I have real opinions on things, and I'm very transparent. When I have an opinion on something, I'm going to say it to a fault. My wife will say that 100% of the time. I can't shut up. If I have an opinion on something, I'm going to say it. But I am not telling you and you all what to do. You all do whatever you want to do. Watch whoever you want to watch. Do whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'm still going to present the information like I find it, like I have been doing. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I doubt I'll be doing a video tomorrow unless information comes out. All right? Later.